Welcome to We Learn, Virtual Learning Network. Today we'll study about political ideas and ideologies. This is Unit 13, State, Civil Society and Community. So, what are the concepts of state, civil society and community? The concepts of state, civil society and community are very important in social sciences, especially in the discipline of political science. Any debate on democracy, rights, citizenship, social capital, etc. is related to these phenomena. So these concepts are very important to be studied in political science because only on these concepts the whole subject is based. Meanings and relationships. State and civil society, how are they related? The state is among the most important concepts discussed in political theory, as it includes the political bodies as well as the government. Recently, especially from the 1980s onwards, the concept of civil society has acquired a special significance in the discourse and political theory. The rise of new social movements having their organizations, structure and ideology aiming at social change and development in Eastern Europe and the former Soviet Union have generated interest in the civil society. Due to different movements, for example, feminist movements or different movements, civil society has acquired its new significance and wherein the people live and they form their various relationships with each other. The recent attention to the civil society can also be traced to the eruption of social movements or resentment of the people against the state. It is also because people feel that the state is not doing enough for them. That is why the movements, the social movements have erupted, and that has led to the formation of civil society. Civil society is the space which exists between the community and the state. It is represented by those associations, the NGOs, individuals, academicians, intellectuals, who strive for the establishment of democracy in society. Basically, these organizations, NGOs, individuals, academicians, intellectuals constitute a civil society, wherein they strive for the establishment of democracy, where people live freely and they speak freely. So, what is democracy? How is democracy and civil society related? Democracy and civil society are inseparably related to each other. A healthy liberal democracy needs the support of a vibrant civil society. A democracy cannot survive without the support and without the interdependence of a civil society. So a civil society has to be there to support a liberal democracy. As mentioned in the earlier subsection, the foundation of the democracy civil society nexus thesis could be traced in Tocqueville's classic writings on American politics. Democracy. In recent years, there are several scholars who have developed this democracy civil society relation in various models of democracy. There is a relationship which exists between democracy and civil society. Democracy has led rise to the civil society wherein people can freely express themselves and they can live freely. One such model is the associative model of democracy as developed by Sunil Khilnani, Paul Trust and Benjamin Barber. According to them, the decentralization of power is the basis of formation of civil society. The power has to be decentralized. It should not be centralized only on one organization or only on one authority. When the power is decentralized, it leads to the power or it leads to the things giving to the people at large and they becoming a active part of the system at large. So that is why decentralization of power is required to form a proper civil society. So democracy and civil society, the decentralized units of power are inclined towards trust, association and democracy. So trust, association and democracy, these three parts or these three subparts are decentralized units of power which associate themselves in a great manner. But the basis of the formation of the smaller communities is secular equality and not ascriptive. Secular equality, these are the things which are required for democracy to be sustained. The existence of civil society also indicates the extent of democracy in a society. Formal democracy like elections, multi-party system or a democratic constitution. So, These elections, party system and democratic constitution, these form the basis for any formal democracy. It also means at the same time existence of democratic norms and values like coexistence of differences along with tolerance of each other's culture and views. Now that's very important to tolerate each other's, the tolerance for each other's culture, the tolerance for each other's views, opinions, viewpoints, that's very important in a democracy, in a democratic setup. Existence of democratic norms occur, various viewpoints exist, various values exist, and it is very important that they all coexist, and where the differences of opinion occurs, there has to be a coexistence of various opinions. Conflicts should be avoided and peace should prevail. A new generation of neo-Tocquevillians, the most prominent amongst whom is Robert Putnam, have since the 1990s revived the concept of civil society as the bedrock of democracy. Putnam popularized a concept called social capital, which stands for features of social organizations such as trust, norms, and networks. So, social capital stands for the features of social organizations such as networks, communication, trust, people, which exist together. How is community and civil society related? Community is a group of people knit into relationships on the basis of primordial factors, that is, religion, kin, family ties, caste, etc. So community is a group of people who are binded on the basis of religion, family ties, same caste. That is why they belong to a certain community. These set rules for the individuals which constitute the community. The nature of the rules of the community about the rights of the individuals and citizens show the nature of polity and society. So, the set rules and regulations for individuals or any rights of the people, citizens, that show the nature of polity. How are the rights distributed in the society? How are people enjoying their rights? If they are enjoying their rights, are they also performing their duties properly? That is very important. If we give them rights, they should also do their duties in a proper manner. That indicates a civilized polity as well as society. The rules of the community are particularistic and those of the state are universalistic. Now that lies a difference. Community, that is local. State, that is global. Universalistic means which applies to every community, which applies to every state and country. That means that is universalistic. That means that applies to everyone, every person living. And whereas community, that is a shorter part, that is not a wider part. Universal is wider and community, that is narrow. It means that the rules of a community which applies to particular people or which applies to particular individuals who are living in that community, not to all. If there are conflicts between the two sets of rules, the democratic edifice of the polity gets eroded. If there is conflict occurring between the two sets of rules, that erades or that does not give rise to democratic edifice. That does not give rise to democracy itself if there are conflicts, because democracy does not thrive on conflicts but on peace. But if, on the other hand, the rights of the individuals in a society are in consonance with those of the state, the polity represents democratic traits. The rights of the individuals has to be in consonance with those of the state. It means whatever the rights are given to the individuals, that has to be in consonance, that has to be in accordance with what the state thinks are important to give. That represents a particular polity and that represents a proper polity or a state. The sociological argument on the distinction between community and civil society takes its purest, most systematic and most elaborate form in the work of Ferdinand Tönnies. Sudipta Kaviraj, in an article In Search of Civil Society, points to a connection between the two dichotomies, the state and the civil society on one hand, and the civil society and the community on the other. But there are no dichotomies existed between the four things: civil society, state, democracy, community. They all are related and interdependent on each other. Characteristic features of civil society. So, what are the features? Let's see. There have been such diverse analysis of civil society that the term may seem to be confusing. So, a look at the features of civil society may help to comprehend the subject. Following diamond, the features of civil society may be enumerated as follows. First, civil society is the realm of organized social life that is open, voluntary, self generating, at least partially self supporting, autonomous from the state, and bound by legal order or set of shared rules. Civil society, that does not mean there are no rules or regulations existing. That is open, that is done by people themselves. Initiative is taken by people themselves. That is self supporting. People support themselves. They are autonomous from the state. But if they are autonomous from the state, that does not mean that they are not having any rules or regulations. They are bound by a legal order. They are bound by a set of rules and regulations which they have to follow as citizens of a particular state. So they have certain freedom, but they are also bound by certain restrictions. Second, civil society is concerned with public ends rather than private ends. It focuses on the welfare of all, not on the welfare or not on the interest of any one or two individuals, but in the welfare of all. It's an intermediary phenomenon standing between the private sphere and the state. Third, civil society is related to the state in some way but does not seek to control the state. It does not seek to govern the polity as a whole. It does not seek to control the state, but it does seek to control a particular community. Fourth, civil society encompasses pluralism and diversity. A lot of people live in a particular community. A lot of people have different views. They are belonging from different religions, caste. But civil society encompasses pluralism and diversity. It says that yes, people do have different viewpoints, different opinions on a particular matter, but it takes the welfare of all the people who are living in a particular community. Fifth, it follows from the fourth that civil society does not seek to represent the complete set of interests of a person or community. Rather, different groups represent or encompass different aspects of interest. There are different groups, there are different people, and with different interests which are present. Sixth, civil society should be distinguished from the more clearly democracy-enhancing phenomenon of civic community. Civil society is different from civic community. Civic community is the rules, the set of rules which a community needs to follow. For example, not throwing garbage on the street and properly maintaining the rules which are required for personal freedom as well as people's freedom. These are some of the tasks which you have to do it yourself. Discuss Robert Putnam's views on civil society and enumerate and describe the basic characteristics of civil society. What are the basic characteristics of civil society which we have just discussed? Thank you. Happy learning, we learning.